Hey guys, I'm Michael. I'm from TravelCostaRicaNow.com.
And I'm William Wilner, once again, for me.
Nice. Guys, this is another in the expat series that we're doing. We've talked to Will a couple times, and he's going to talk about this one because he happens to know a lot about it. And this just happened right here. We're like reliving the moment.
Yeah, we're actually, there's like poetic elegance to us actually shooting this right here, sitting in these chairs, because I was sitting in this chair with this beverage holder
just a few days ago
when this happened.
So here's what's going on. There's a lady that we both know. She's going to be retiring in about 5 or 6 years, and she bought some land here. Now her big thing was, should she build now? And so it's
well, actually, if I can interrupt just a little bit,
you just did.
She actually said she's already bought the land. She's already committed. She's already hired somebody who's going to be her go-to guy. She's like, committed to having this guy line up her general contractor. She's found counsel. Like, she was on the road
to building.
Yeah, to building, exactly.
So anyway, after about a 45-minute discussion, I think we might have changed her mind. We're going to tell you some of the points you definitely want to consider if you're thinking the same, whether you should start building before you're actually going to live down here. Because she was commuting. She doesn't live here. She visits here twice a year.
Well, she says she spends like whatever, 11 or 12 weeks a year here or something like that.
Right.
And preparing to retire in about 5 years. If I could make a suggestion, maybe let's start with some of the really common mistakes that she had already made. that so many people seem to make, and just like get those right on the table right away and right out in the open. She was on to her third builder. This time she was hoping that she had found somebody who would act as kind of her general, her man on the ground, her man in the theater.
Finger cross type of
It really was, and I mean, I can't quite recall 100%, but it seems to, like, maybe she did do this when she was telling us. This time, I hope it's going to be okay. And this is a mistake that a lot of people make when they come down. They don't think, oh, I don't want to wait until I'm actually retired to actually get started with this, because then I'm going to have to spend money to live in a hotel or, rent a house or something like that. And so in their mind, they think, well, why not? Why not hire a general contractor, get started, have somebody there who's overseeing this and making sure that everything's getting done in time? But you guys have been here longer than I have, and I think between the two of us, we could sit down really quick and come up with an exact figure for the number of people that plan has actually worked out well for, and it would be pretty much
zero.
Yeah.
Well, why?
Well, the business down here does not work the way that it does in North America. And people, by the time they're into their 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, approaching retirement age, they feel like they've got it figured out. They know how business works, and they're justified in feeling that way. I mean, they've got 30, 40 years of experience, so why wouldn't they think that they know what they're doing? But their experience is limited to where they've been. So they come down here and they're like, well, why wouldn't it work exactly the same way? I mean, if I lived in New York City and I were building a cabin in Washington, I'd hire a contractor. I'd go up there, once or twice a year and make sure everything was on track. And why wouldn't it work the same way here? The short answer is because people will rob you freaking blind down here. If you're not on your job site, they won't show up, but they'll bill you for the hours. You hire a general contractor, suddenly everything that you got a quote for, your quotes are meaningless. You say, oh, well, prices all got raised by 50%.
Yes.
It's just like ridiculous stuff. Versus if you do nothing other than show up at your job site, on your property, put a chair in the shade, open a book, and hold up a clipboard every once in a while to see who's working and who's not.
Now, mind you, most people come here and they think, or they believe in their mind, they have a trusted person that they've hired. They got maybe it was a referral.
Yeah.
But what happens a lot of times is the referral person they're getting, they put everything on that person, and that person's hiring family.
Yeah.
Hiring their best friends. Oh yeah, I got a builder. I know people that can help, and I'll hire the laborers.
Yeah.
And so now you got this whole person is a circle of his.
And not only that, and if you say, okay, oh, that's flat out greed. Well, that's not all there is to it. I mean, it's part greed, for sure. And it's also part abuse of power. I mean, when you take your entire budget and you give a single person 100% oversight on that, it's ridiculous to think that they're not going to succumb sooner or later to the temptation to line their own pockets with some of that cash. And I mean, really, it doesn't matter how well you think you know something. Ask yourself. This is something that's driven me out of my mind on several occasions. I've just looked at people and said, if you had a friend who did this, and you were both sober, and you were having this conversation. And they said, yes, I traveled to another country, I met someone, we had dinner 3 or 4 times, I met his family, he seemed nice, so I gave him complete oversight on my $300,000 construction project while I'm not in the country, and I have no rights as a citizen or anything. Would that strike you as a rational thing to do?
But it seems so right at the time. You're having dinner with the family.
Yeah, but the thing is that people, they succumb to this thing like, well, I'm building my dream retirement. This is rainbows and puppy dogs and peaches and cream and roses. Why would anything go horribly wrong with that? Just because I'm giving someone unfettered control to over $300,000.
And then they usually use the lawyer this person recommends as well.
If somebody tells you down here that, oh, it's tradition and it's fine, everybody uses the same lawyer in their real estate transactions, that's when you know that you are this close to being royally screwed. I mean, would you, Michael, would you, in the US, sit down and use the same lawyer for your real estate transaction that the seller was using if you were buying? I mean, of course you would. It's preposterous.
I think they call that conflict of interest.
Exactly. And then when you come down here, they're like, oh, but that's the way we do it.
It's easier. It's easier.
Oh, you gringos make things way too complicated. I mean, it doesn't have to be. We're friends down here, not like you guys up there. You're always fighting with each other. And
now, I thought it was interesting. This lady, though, a lot of the reasons she wanted to build early was for the sole purpose of possibly making this rental income, or having somebody here, or trying to make money. What are the couple problems with that?
Yeah, well, okay, and in some cases that can be a viable option. We're talking about things from a cold, logical, analytical dollars and cents kind of a perspective, and some things may not make sense from that perspective that do make sense from a different perspective, which is that you're doing something that you love. I mean, you've worked hard all your life and you want to get started on your dream vacation. So I mean, it may not make perfect sense on a balance sheet, but it might make a lot of sense for you personally, and it might give you the fuel and the juice that you need to get through the last 5 years until your retirement. So I mean, we
making decisions with your heart.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just say, oh, whatever. I mean, there's validity to that. So we can't just say that's stupid and don't do it. And also, if you're smart about it, you can actually, I mean, that can work well for you. You can get the property done. There are some benefits to having someone in the property, so it's not sitting vacant while you're gone. I mean, you know that my business down here is renting houses to people. It's my job to provide them with renters, and that's how they recoup a lot of the costs and expenses that they had building those properties in the first place. So there are people who have vacation homes here who are looking forward to living in them when they retire, but for now they're actually income properties, and that can work. But in this woman's case, what she was really thinking of was, I'd like to get this thing started, get it built, and then I can have somebody in there just to keep people from stealing things, just so that it's occupied. I mean, she's building in an area that's not very touristy. It's not going to draw a lot of people wanting to stay there. And, the question that I asked her was, well, why do you want somebody in your house using up your stuff, breaking your things? And so I asked her, I'm like, well, when you get down here, how are you going to feel if you move into your house and 2 years later, everything starts breaking? Just because you had somebody...
Not a wear and tear in 5-6 years.
Exactly. And then on top of that, well, I think probably the thing that I suggested to her that was the biggest surprise, because I think part of her head, she was actually thinking, well, now this guy Will is going to put himself forward as my new general in Costa Rica to get this property built. And I think she was a little bit surprised when I asked her, I said, do you really need to start building now? Like, if you own the property, you're not going to be able to keep an eye on it. Your own experience has shown you that you can't trust this business model of, trying to hire somebody or have a local partner.
Yeah, just one person doing everything for you.
Yeah, so that doesn't work. Why don't you wait 3 years and then budget so that you're down here every 3 months? Or every 4 months, and you can keep tabs on what's happening and be your own general. And the other thing that I said to her was, if you want to get started because you want to enjoy seeing the development, the process, the progression of your dream, I said, then you need to get in touch with the expat community, and you need to find builders, probably expat builders, who have a reputation of producing quotes and then delivering on those quotes. And just because you met somebody and they introduced you to somebody else and that person had a nice twinkle in their eye and paid your bar tab and you paid for your dinner 3 times when you went out, that is no basis for making a decision.
We're not saying hiring or having a Tico as a trusted confidant is the problem. We're saying putting all your trust in one person to do this big blanket of stuff. I mean, personally, I like your idea of the contractor getting the expat community, but I don't want to say that we're saying that Ticos.
I live here in Costa Rica, so if I had a problem with Ticos, then I'd obviously be in it up to here, right? And so I agree with you. I'm not trying to say that, but what I am saying is, you talk with. Well, you tell me what percentage of people that you've spoken with who did that had things work out well. I mean, we already went over this.
Seriously, nobody.
It never works out. So just don't do it. I mean, this is not a slam against Ticos. This is just saying don't do it, period. And if you're going to contract with somebody, make sure you're contracting with a professional. Make sure that you can speak to other people who are other expats like you, that this person has done this job for and it's come out well and on time and on budget.
And I'm still big on that. I don't care what you know about construction. You could be dumb as a rock. I still think you need to be here.
Oh, absolutely.
You definitely, what you were saying before. Get the notepad. I don't care if you're playing crossword puzzles, but you need to be there.
Yeah, no get all 7 Harry Potter books and just, go nuts.
Right, but you got to be there.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Oh, geez, there's so much more. There's so much more. But I think, if you want to wrap it up on something, I think you got to wrap it up by saying very simply this: you cannot abdicate your common sense just because you're working on a dream.
Don't let your heart override your reason.
Exactly. Your heart may be while you're doing it, but an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, all that other stuff. You learned a lot of hard lessons, I'm sure, leading up to getting into a position where you've got the funds and the ability to do this. Don't go throwing all of that intelligence and all of that experience and all that common sense out the window just because you're so excited about what you're trying to do down here. And bottom line is, if you have a little question mark, hey, is this the right thing to be doing? Don't.
The irony of the whole thing is I did just that 6 years ago. I did trust a person, I really did. I thought we were like this, I thought we were friends. He wasn't Tico, but I thought we were friends. But the bigger mistake I need to take responsibility for is I didn't have checks and balances. I just, one person kind of doing all the shots for me. I can definitely see how you can get caught up in it a little. But then when you look back, it's like, how stupid could I have been? I mean, I couldn't have been more stupid.
And here's another thing too. I mean, now that you mentioned that, checks and balances, if people are actually deciding to do anything along these lines where they're not actually in the country, they're not actually sitting on the job site, don't release more funds until you've got proof that what you've already paid for is done. Hey, don't send more money until you've got proof that the bleep that you've already paid for is done. Because we see this all the time. This poor woman, I'm sure you've heard of her out in where I just was, like 3 years and just sending money. Oh, this has to be done, otherwise we're never going to get there. Well, you've got to send this, otherwise it's never going to be finished. Oh my God! And finally, 3 years later, and God knows how many thousands of dollars down the road, she's finally come to her senses.
Well, we could talk. Well, we'll probably talk more about this, but this is kind of a general thing. This is good information, but I'm sure we'll be talking about it again. But as usual, we want to thank Will for his expertise. And
my pleasure.
I don't know, should they be able to talk to you if they have a question?
Absolutely. I mean, you guys are welcome to throw my email up on it or something, or put
tell them where to put it.
Right around here.
All right, guys. I'm Michael Allen for Travel Costa Rica Now, and as usual, peace. Hope it helps.
This is William for me, and that's him.
Ciao.